think there's a time to go all in. I think honestly, I think for most people that's going to be a losing strategy, right? I get a lot of the phone calls on the real estate side of people who have done that. And again, I'm not trying to make it's not all doom and gloom, but a lot of times people don't make it. And they just generally have to go right back to working anyway. And then you face the biggest problem, which is financing, right? So your first like 2 years out, it's difficult to really get any financing if you don't have some sort of track record, right? You're not showing some sort of tax returns where you're making money. It's going to be really difficult. I think for most people, it makes sense to really build that foundation, build that runway. So if you do run into some hiccups, not if you do, you certainly will. That's what that's business in general, right? You're going to run into some hiccups, no matter what it is, and you want to be able to withstand those hiccups. I won't pretend like it all happened at one time, right? I'm a very inquisitive person, so I always wonder, well, how do people turn these properties into triplexes? Because it had been done before, and so that's when I started reading up on the zoning code. I'm like, okay. And then I started recognizing a lot of the properties that I had previously purchased have those zoning codes, and then some of it was just trial and error. Right, I go down to the city. I'm trying to get a rental license for 3 units, and they'll explain a lot of this stuff to you. Like, oh, that's how that works, and it's just sort of it built up over time. But once I pieced it all together, I was like, oh, this is powerful because, like you said, it's when I'm purchasing properties, and they're not always single family. So sometimes I do a lot of mixed use, and I bought vacant churches, I bought vacant warehouses. To the lay person, they can only sell it to you as what it is, right? They don't understand the zoning codes enough to understand what it could be, right? So if they're selling your property, like they're going to base it on what other vacant old warehouses have sold for, right? And so you're able to buy it at even what they think is a fair price, but knowing, hey, I can create the highest and best use, right? And so you marry really good fundamentals, right? Buying a property at a really good price, and then having a niche strategy that creates maximum value. And I like that because I don't have to do as many deals as other investors, but I create the same amount of value and similar income. And then I generally operate on, so my projects, I'd say my sweet spot is probably like 5 to 10 unit buildings. So some of that competition, they need to buy larger buildings, right? So I'm buying smaller buildings. So in that space, I don't have a lot of competition, because a lot of investors operating in that space don't have the expertise to pull all the pieces all together, because it's more than just understanding the zoning codes. It's about understanding how to underwrite the actual business model of it, and how to do the rehab, which is it's a fairly involved rehab, much more involved than if you were doing single family. So it's if you haven't done those rehabs, that's a big leap. Not that people can't make it, but it takes a lot of experience in that space. I went to the school of hard knocks, and I'm proud to say I just got my doctorate. Oh my goodness! Honestly, I had one deal I lost over $100,000 on. So I tell people all the time, listen, you're going to pay one way or the other, right? You either pay through learning it on your own, which you can do, or you tap into other people. Now, the one thing I do a lot more of now that I wasn't doing as much when I first started is I network, I go to conferences. I see you do that a lot. You travel around, you go to masterminds, get around people that have more experience, right? And so had I been doing that, yes, I could have avoided some of these issues. And I don't regret any of them because I learned a lot from them, right? But if I didn't have to go through them, that wouldn't have been such a bad such a bad thing either.